वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है, वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी, ये एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानकुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और सातवें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया।
Thank you, friends. A very good afternoon to all of you. I welcome you all to today's webinar of Direct English. I'm Sonia Chaudhary, Managing Director at Franchise India. And friends, I'll like to set a brief perspective about the opportunity and also the association of Franchise India with Direct English. At the same time, I also urge everybody who's joined the webinar to make this webinar interactive. Any questions you have on the opportunity, I'm more than happy to hear that. And it would also be great, friends, if you can talk a little bit about yourself, your profile, the cities that you hail from, because largely almost a month and a half, I've been talking to many prospective partners who have been interacting with us. And largely, I saw a large quantum of profiles that came from the education background. So it would be helpful if you let me know a little bit about yourself, the cities that you come from. And if you have any question on the opportunity at large in your city, on the business model, I'm more than happy to take that up. So this would be about, 30-35 minutes session where I'll talk about the opportunity with respect to the category and industry at large, and what is the business model and how you can partner with us. And starting with first and foremost, friends, about us, Franchise India. So Franchise India, through our company Aptitude Studios, we have taken the master franchise rights for the Indian territory of Direct English. And this was as recent as about a month and a half back. And so while, we have known the business, the company, the management of Direct English for many, many years. And this is a great opportunity. And we felt there could be a big category which already created in the country we could leverage. So we took the rights and now we are partners for Direct English in India. About our company, Franchise India, friends, we are a 25-year-old enterprise, and we started our business with one big vision of making India self-reliant through entrepreneurship, which means we wanted entrepreneurship to be accessible to everyone. So democratization of entrepreneurship is the very big I would say, purpose of Franchise India. At the group level, we are a very integrated company, complete franchise solution company, which is the largest franchise development and also distribution company in the world. And our group creates intelligence synergies, and combined strength is leveraged by each of its group companies. And we have an interest in largely franchising, licensing, real estate, mid-market M&A. And we also have presence outside India. In India, we have a presence in about 96 cities across the country, and we are present in international markets. And we are a company which is largely known as an investor-centric and a franchise-focused company. And through the capabilities, like I mentioned, which includes our media house, where we run some of the leading industry magazines, including Entrepreneur, which is the world's top 5 B2B magazines. We are their partners for Asia. Franchising World is the oldest magazine which we have been running and publishing since 1999. We also do exhibitions, B2B exhibitions across India, about 120 such exhibitions that we run across the country, where companies present their opportunity to almost, million business buyers throughout the year. These are physical interaction through our bigger shows that we do. We also run a very big advisory firm called Francop, where we work with companies to make them franchise ready. And then we also have a big mandate where we take a mandate from the companies to kind of, represent them in various markets and kind of, find prospective franchisees for them on one side. And on the other side, we work with business buyers like yourself to be able to advise you on the right opportunity and help you take an informed decision of buying a business. And through our mandates that we kind of have throughout the year, almost 1,500 crores of gross transaction value is the average capital, I would say, we're able to raise from the market for various companies that give us a mandate, which is including education, F&B, service, real estate, all across. So also as a company, Friends Franchise India has worked with more than, I would say, 8,000 companies in making their business models. And we have been instrumental in bringing almost nearly 500 odd companies to the Indian market. So while, working with so many companies to create that business model, working with companies to help them expand, and also a lot of international brands that we have worked over the years. So only opportunities where we as a company, we feel that we can add a big value, or they can be an opportunity for a big value creation. That's where we kind of partner. So we are selective about, whom we want to partner with, and Direct English is one such opportunity. That we felt could have a great opportunity in a country like India. Secondly, also, UK service providers enjoy international credibility across the entire ELT value chain, which also, puts Direct English in maybe as a differentiator if we compare that with some other brands in the same category. So the business model of Direct English has also been made after studying Indian market at large, the competition that is present in the country, and the demand of the opportunity, the pricing. And it is very competitive when we compare to any national, international player of this size and magnitude. It will be difficult for us to compare a model with somebody who's operating that, a single center in a isolation in cities. So what is Direct English is something which I'll talk about. And I will also talk about the business model. And as I start, I will also like to mention, friends, we're looking for area franchisees for Direct English. At the same time, if there's a great profile and maybe a pressing profile that we would and we might want to consider for a unit franchise. Like some days back, I was speaking to her, a wonderful profile. The gentleman, came with nearly 25 years of experience in education, has been running some of the some big names in franchising in the education field, had a great location in the education hub, of that city. So there's a profile like that that we might have to consider even for a single unit. We'll be more than happy to explore. But largely, we're looking at partnering with like-minded people who can take the ownership of a region and run and operate as an area developer in that region. And I'll come on the model for that. And I'll request Harshika if we can place the presentation on the screen. And so, friends, what is Direct English? Direct English is a pioneer, and it is also a global leader in ELT, right? So when I speak to some people, they say, oh, there are many other brands in this segment, and what is so different about this company? So when I say the pioneer, this is one of the oldest, I would say, part of the oldest company, and they're global leaders. It is not a leader in maybe a specific country, but this brand is leading as a leader globally in markets across the world. And the parent company comes with a heritage of 120 odd years in the language training. And also the mother company is Lingua Phone Group, which has been a pioneer in language learning and publishing. So if you go on Google and search the brand Lingua Group, you will find the kind of, the heritage of the company and also the legacy of the company. And also the group is proud to operate in markets worldwide, like I mentioned, through their language learning brands, which includes Lingua Phone UK, which is the brand that they run there. We also have Pingu English, which is a part of the portfolio of the parent company, and Direct English, of course. And it's a big legacy where the Pearson Education, the iconic British-owned education publishing and assessment service to school and corporations, is the company who initially, had the, rather they owned the brand Direct English. and which was later on bought by Linguaphone, the oldest company in the ELT space. So this company, Direct English, was established in 1997, and it operates in markets across the world through their physical centers and also through a very innovative online group training model, which they call Direct English Live. And there's a separate course. The course is same, but there's a separate, I would say, subscriber, which takes these courses. And this is something which they launched when the COVID had started. So I'll start with the introduction, and can I have the slide, Harshika, on the screen, please? And friends, I'll also talk about, what is the opportunity at large. Let's go on the next slide, please. So this is what, I talked about. So it's a company which comes with 120 years of heritage. And almost 100,000 learners every year are the students who kind of enroll in their various classes across the globe in taking their courses, and they have presence in about 20 odd countries worldwide, and nearly 1,000 online classes per year is what the brand is delivering. And like I mentioned, they started this only at the flux of COVID. Next slide, please. Guys, if you have any questions, you can keep writing in. I'll maybe answer during, or maybe I can take these questions at the end of the webinar. So the company has been continuously innovating. And when you look on the right-hand side, this is what their growth has been. They have been growing at a speed of almost about 8x, which is the growth which the company has seen in their Direct English live program, which I mentioned they launched when the COVID had started. And through this program, they were able to enroll many people, or I would say students, who otherwise were not able to come to the centers. Next slide, please. So this is the history of the company, which started obviously in 1932. Louis Alexander is the name which I would say is synonymous with Direct English. And so this is a bit history about him. And so he's the man behind the business, and his works, formed the basis of many communicative language courses, including even Direct English. And the common European framework of reference for language is something which Direct English also follows. And Direct English is one of his great masterpieces. So if you look at some of the achievements which are described perhaps on the slide, starting with 1932, where he was actually born and educated in London. In 1997, he came in Guinness Book of World Record, where he sold almost about 4.7 million books, and in a time frame. And this is something which is a feat recorded in the Guinness Book of Record as the greatest number of copies sold by any individual author in 1 year. So he holds that record with him. In 1986 and 88, he also was the advisor to the University of Cambridge Local Examination Syndicate for Cambridge Certificate in English for International Communication. And in 2020, like I mentioned, they launched the entire online solution for students to support their flexible schedules, and also to even engage remotely where they were not able to come to physical centers. Next slide, please. So these are some of the benefits which are described here, which I did talk about. So it's a hybrid model. They have real life videos. They have very interactive sessions. And I can even take you through, friends. They have a very detailed curriculum. And I would say they have a world-class curriculum, which is unparalleled to anything which you would have seen or understood. If you come from this industry, and if you've experienced some of the models which some companies in this industry would give, I can take a separate session on how the entire curriculum is also structured. And as far as the syllabus is concerned, there are typically two kinds of syllabuses, right? So one is cyclical syllabus, one is linear syllabus. So when you say, Direct English follows a cyclical syllabus. So linear syllabus is something where, anything that a student misses in any session is something which is not repeated in the next session, or there's no mention of that. But cyclical syllabus actually mentions the syllabus, or I would say, the entire syllabus, which is covered by It is very, very progressive, so to say. And you get a chance, every student gets a chance to revisit the syllabus. It is not repetition, like I said, but it is very progressive in nature. So even if you miss a session for reasons and you come to a next session, you would not have missed much. They kind of, touch upon everything which they do in their previous classes. Next slide, please. Now, this is an important slide where I'll give you a broad overview of, how their curriculum is structured. And I get many questions on that, how it is different. So now they have, in all about 8 levels plus a foundation level, or you say F plus 8 levels is what Direct English offers. And all these levels are built around, covering 4 abilities, which includes English speaking, listening and understanding, reading, and equally, the writing skills. So these are 4 skills and abilities where their entire curriculum is built around. And also at the end of the course, the student receives a CEFR aligned certificate, right? So CEFR is Common European Framework certificate, aligned certificate, which every student who's enrolled gets. Now, the entire level, if you see, they're divided into 3 odd levels, where the base level is foundation plus 3, which is level 1, 2, and 3. And then they have intermediate, which is level 4, 5, and 6. And finally, there is an advanced level, which is 7 and 8 level. And in the CFR, curriculum or framework, these levels are defined as level 1 and level 2, which becomes a part of your basic level. Level B1 and B2 becomes a part of intermediate, where you cover 4, 5, and 6 level. And finally, we have C1 level, which is 7 and 8, which is very, very advanced level of learning. So if you look at the entire structure of these levels, now every level, each level has about 9 units. So every unit, each level has about 9 units per level. And each unit also has further 3 lessons. So which means overall 27 lessons are there per level, and 27 lessons into 8 levels. If I take, the 1 to 8 levels, almost 216 level is somebody is taking all of these. But on an average, about 27 lessons are covered at each level. And now the structure of the entire curriculum. Now each further level is also divided into 3 phases broadly. One is a presentation phase, which they cover in their curriculum. Second is a language study phase, which they cover in their curriculum. And then finally is a practice phase. So across all these levels, these are 3 foundation phases which Direct English follows, which is presentation, language, and practice, right, which is done throughout these levels. And obviously the magnitude of each level would be very, very progressive as you move from 1 to 2 and from the basic to the advanced level. Level 1 to 3 is more functional, and it is a transaction stage, as we call it, where there is a lot of use of videos, storyline. That is something which is used more in level 1 to 3. And level 4 to 6, which is 4, 5, and 6, are interactive phase, or I would say a more expressive curriculum is how it is designed, where we have grammatical topics which are covered, which includes videos. It also a lot of, in this stage, which is 4, 5, 6, a lot of non-video content is also comes into play, includes a lot of reading. It is more progressive, like I mentioned. So reading also becomes at level a part of the entire curriculum at level 4, 5, and 6. Level 7 and 8 is the more advanced stage and level, which is more built around, confidence building, to on-one skills, language production, response, argument. So all that is something which is covered in, level 7 and 8. Now, further, it is also important to understand, how the understanding of a student is kind of assessed. So what they do is, they follow a structure of the curriculum, which includes first and foremost a placement test. So every student which comes to take an admission has an assessment test, or a placement test as they call it, which helps Direct English to understand the level at which the student is at currently. And based on that test and assessment, they're enrolled at the level which is most suitable for. Second, they also have orientational tutorial, which becomes a part of their curriculum. And third is self-study. So they also give a lot of material for self-study, which is again guided, where they have videos where a student can even record and listen to his own voice and maybe correct and even get into a conversation. Maybe if you come on one-to-one call, we can show you some of these videos to understand that more closely. Next slide, please. So these are the countries, like I mentioned, about 20 odd countries where direct English is operating, which includes Bahrain, Bulgaria, India recently signed the master for, Israel, Indonesia, Iraq, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Myanmar. Then we also have Palestinian territories, Portugal, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Sudan, Thailand, Turkey, and Vietnam. So all the highlighted portions that you see on the world map is where the presence of direct English is currently. And in all the regions they are currently present, they've entered these regions through a master franchise relationship. Next slide. So I'll give you a brief on, what model we're looking. Like I mentioned, in India, we're looking for preferably an area franchisee. And so area franchisee would have, one unit he would own and operate himself. So if you look on this slide on the left-hand side, area franchisee gets a right of owning and operating one unit for himself. And at the same time, he can also sub-franchise. Now you see some units at the bottom. So it says 5, 6, 8, 10. So what we have done is, we have divided India into about 20 big zones. Unlike many companies who take a lump sum fee for a territory, irrespective of the potential of the territory, we have divided India into 20 zones based on the potential of each territory. A franchise fee and a rollout has been worked upon. So I'll come to that on the subsequent slide. So this is again, like I mentioned, a hybrid model which can be taken in the center, can also be online and offline. The franchise partner also gets exclusivity, area franchisee gets exclusivity of the territory, where he gets a right to own, operate, and also sub-franchise, which means even the parent company in UK gets any inquiry coming in your territory, or I as a master franchisee getting any inquiry in your territory. All these inquiries, we will work together to be closed. So that's exclusivity that is offered. And also the area license fee is something which I like to even maybe discuss and make you understand, because this is not a lump sum fee. And I say, this is what I take as a master fee, but depending on how much rollout potential of that location, the area franchise fee is kind of decided, right? And I'll explain that through an example. If we can go on the next slide, I'll explain the territories that we have selected. So we go further. I'll come back to this later on. Further, please. Okay, let's go back. I think we missed one slide. I'm sorry about that. So, okay, let me talk about the opportunity, and let me come back also on the model. When we look at India, friends, and this is a big opportunity, like I mentioned, at Franchise India, while we work with many, many companies, but we felt this category had a big opportunity in the country. It's an official language in more countries than any other, spoken by nearly 1.5 billion people, across 94 odd regions globally. And the opportunity in India is humongous, is what I would say. This is approximately $5 billion industry where demand for upskilling, study abroad is very, very big. And the market, if I say from the opportunity point of view, can be put into three broad segments, which is B2C, B2B, and B2G, where B2C is obviously one of the biggest segment, and nearly 80% of the entire ELT providers in India have this segment as their main focus of business, and same is true even in case of direct English. So sectors like retail, like I mentioned, hospitality, information technology, and also manufacturing are in demand, and will keep adding value to the sector-based skills which are acquired by individuals, right? So all these skills, make them more employable, right? So today, even in hospitality sector, people getting employed at maybe retail salons, they need to have the basic understanding of English, and these skills make them more employable, which is something which is not taught in school. Now, on the B2B side, there's also strong opportunity for ELT market in India, which covers segments like, I would say, school, institutions, even I would say, corporates, so to say, which cut across information technology services like the BPO services. And direct English is bridging the gap between academic teaching and employability requirement. So it is not either or, right? So it is kind of bridging the gap to make our resources more employable. right? So that's the opportunity that we see in our country. Next slide, please. And this is a target audience which I've talked about. At the top, you would see, the end users, which includes our students, which is a big community. We have individual learners, irrespective of their age, to hone their skills. Education institutions would use, and we have government institutions. So area franchisee also get an opportunity, while a unit franchisee does not have an opportunity to tie with big institutions, or I would say government institutions, but any kind of such, institutions which are given only to area franchisee to work. So sometimes you get a bigger workforce to be trained, and typically this happens in government institutions. So only area franchisee gets that service to be offered. And then you have corporate learners. So broadly, this is the end user segment in this category, but largely, like I mentioned, it is B2C. And from the age group point of view, we have people largely upwards of 18 years to about 40 odd years. That is the average age group which comes to these learning centers. And on the right hand side, you see this pie where we actually see the component of language, where in a country like India, Hindi is the biggest spoken language, which is about 41%, and about 10% is English. And subsequently, we have regional languages, which are Bengali 8%, Telugu 7%, Marathi 7%, Tamil, Gujarati, and about 9% is other language which are spoken in the country. Next slide. So how we have positioned, when I started off, I said we, in fact, read the entire opportunity in the country, and that's how the entire business model was also made by us. And the entire team of consultants who worked in understanding the other, I would say, international and national companies. And these are 5 odd companies that we have shown on this slide a comparative analysis or study of. And there are 2 main components that we have dissected. One is the typical number of average hours which these institutes charge, right? So one is that, and the other benchmark we have taken on the average batch size, which is taken by these institutions. So if you look at the average hours, which is the cost per hour, if you look at maybe British Council, they charge almost about 800 to 1,000 rupees per hour, right? So if we have, say, for example, 60 hours, multiply that with 60 hours. So similarly, Cambridge Academy, charges almost about 600 rupees per hour average. British Academy of English Language, anything between 250 to about 450 odd rupees. British Institute of Language, English Language, charges anything between 250 to about 450. And then we have English Labs, which charges about 250 odd rupees per hour. These are per hour charge, which are charged by these institutions in the country. On the right hand side, we have taken an understanding of the typical batch size. How many batch sizes do they conduct in every class? So British Council, while has almost about 800 to 1,000 rupees per hour, it also has a bigger batch, which means about 15 to 40 students or 35 odd students can come in one batch. Cambridge Academy of English would have almost about 10 to 20 students per batch. British Academy of English Language would have about 15 to 35 odd students. British Institute would have 30 to 40 batch. English Labs has anything between 10 to 25 odd batch. Now, when we come to direct English, we have kept that a very sweet spot, both in terms of the average batch size. We have not taken a very huge batch. And similarly, if we talk about pricing, it is extremely competitive. So the average price, as far as the classes are concerned, is about 220 odd rupees per hour. That's the average it comes out to as far as direct English is concerned, which is highly competitive when we compare to the peers in the industry and the 5 big players which I'm talking about. The other is the average batch size, which we have taken an average batch size of almost about 10. So with an average ticket size per hour of 220, an average ticket 10. That's how the entire unit economic is what we have created for operations of a center, which I'll explain in the subsequent slides. Next slide, please. So this is how we, have, it's a quick financial snapshot for a unit franchisee. Like I mentioned, I'll explain the area franchise model also, but to understand the area franchise model, you must also understand what it goes to set up a unit. So for a unit franchisee, because the area franchisee is also supposed to own and operate one unit. So typically a unit would need an area requirement of 1,500 2,000 square feet of space, and the average investment is almost about 20 odd lakhs. And I'll give you a broad split also for your quicker understanding on the investment for a unit. So 4 lakhs goes towards a franchise fee that you see at the bottom. So 4 lakhs out of this 20 lakhs is the franchise fees. 4 lakhs is something that goes towards your capex of your interiors. And this is also one investment that can be saved, because today you get a lot of plug and play locations, study centers, which does not require too much of investment on the interior. So if you're lucky to get a spot like that, which is not very difficult, then your investment on the capex comparatively would come down to a little bit of, refurbishment of that premise with the paint and maybe the colors and basic interior needs to be done. So that is the 4 lakhs that we have taken, which can come down if you get a good location or a place which is plug and play. Then the third component is the classroom. So an ideal study center would have at least 3 classrooms and a reception. We have taken an average of 1.3 lakhs per classroom investment, which includes the furniture, equipment, which is required in each class. That translates to almost about 4 lakhs approximately for each classroom. Apart from this, there's another 2 lakhs which goes towards your branding. Right, so which is signage and branding, which is inside, and the signage which goes out, approximately 2 lakhs there. And apart from that, we have taken another 3 lakh rupees, which is towards the working capital, towards the kit. So this is a registration kit which goes to every student who gets enrolled in the center. So if you put all this put together, about 17 lakhs and another 3 lakhs towards working capital is broadly the investment that you need to have a consideration for. And the agreement period that we sign is for a period of 5 odd years. And the average payback period is almost about 1 odd year that we have taken. And we have worked on some detailed financials, which we are happy to discuss one-to-one if you would like to get into more depth of that. Next slide. So this is obviously, we have kind of created an ideal fit for a partner, because you're looking at partners who can put their time to run and operate the center. So a financial fit obviously need to have the capability to invest in the project. Operationally, we need a lot of your time. And if you come with some experience in the education domain, like I mentioned, the last almost a month, as I'm speaking to some of the prospects, especially area franchises, even unit franchise partners, all of them, have come from the education field. They've done something already. Like recently, I was talking to somebody. He's been a trainer, in his career about 25 odd years. He spent working with corporates as a trainer. So we need relevant profiles. Not that somebody who does not have these relevant profiles would not be a great fit, but it is always great to have somebody who has a little bit understanding and maybe a mindset towards a business like this. Market fit, I'll explain on the next slide. So we have, like I mentioned, we have split the entire market in India in 20 zones based on the opportunity, and that's how we would look at that. And lastly is your, obviously your, financial fit, operational fit, market fit. Can we go back on the next previous slide, please, Arshika? Strategic fit, which is again your profile, which I talked about. Yeah, next. So, next slide. So you can just take a close look on this slide. This is the entire territory that we have developed for India. We have split the India market into 20 odd zones, and these zones have been split based on obviously the demographics. And second, if you look and see the sub-franchise opportunity, this is typically based on the minimum potential opportunity that I see in that region. It does not mean that I cannot open more than 5 or 6 or 15 as we have put it, but that's the minimum potential that we see in a territory. So in order to give and maybe award a area franchisee to somebody, this is the minimum potential that we would foresee. So India has been divided in these 20 territories, starting from Jammu, Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, where we have a potential of minimum 5 plus 1. So the left hand side, you see a number which is 1 under owned school. So as an area developer, each area developer partner is expected to open 1 outlet, 1 center of his own, and at the same time he gets the right to sub-franchise the other under him. The interesting part is the area franchisee, I will explain the income streams also for an area franchisee. The area franchisee will not be required to pay the franchise fee for his own center, which means your investment further reduces, right? So 4 lakhs is completely taken off from the investment as far as the unit of a area franchisee is concerned. So you can quickly have a look. If you want to take a screenshot, you can do that. It's UP, Uttarakhand. So all the highlighted territories that you see, which are highlighted in mustard color, this is the golden territories. You see, these are territories which have a huge potential, and that's the reason we have put a sub-franchise number also comparatively higher than the other territories. So these are 5 golden territories in India for us, which includes UP, Uttarakhand. We have clubbed them together. Punjab and Chandigarh as a tri-city, we have put it together. Maharashtra outside Bombay. Bombay we have taken as a separate territory, but anything outside Bombay would be about 20 plus one outlet franchisee would open by himself. AP, Telangana, Karnataka, we have taken at 15 each. Next slide, please. So, okay, so I'll explain, friends, what is there for, area franchisee, your sources of income. Now, for an area franchisee, you get the right to own and operate one outlet, and you would sub-franchise other, right? So, the area franchise fee is waived off for his own outlet, and the area developer gets 3 sources of revenue. One, he gets a share in the franchise fee. Second, he gets a share in the royalty. And third, he also gets a margin in the entire supply that goes to the unit. Financials for area developer are based on the minimum potential of the region, right? So like I mentioned, it is the minimum potential. It is not restricting a franchise partner not to go beyond that number. Yesterday, I was speaking to somebody, he said, there's a number which has been mentioned, but if there's a bigger potential, why should I not be allowed? So it should not be misunderstood. There's a minimum potential that we mentioned, and that becomes a part of a contract, but it can obviously go beyond. Now, how the financial works out for a unit is something which I like to explain you. So 4 lakhs is the franchise fee, for example, for a unit franchisee. And maybe we go on the back slide, Harshika, I'll explain through that slide. Let's go on the back slide. So let me take maybe an example of a territory, say Kerala, right? So Kerala has 10 unit potential, or maybe I'll take 15, any territory that you see has a potential of opening 15 units. So let me take that as an example. So considering 15 units are the minimum rollout, right? So 15 units in the territory multiplied by 4 lakh franchise fees, right? So that is a franchise fee for units. So it becomes about 60 odd lakhs, right? So that's the fee towards minimum rollout. But the area franchisee does not pay the 100% fee. He is not required to pay the 100% fee. The area franchisee pays only 40% of that territory fee. So 40% of 60 lakh becomes 24 lakh. So 24 lakh becomes the area developer fee, right? So which is 40% of 60 lakhs. The other is how he gets further sharing, right? So every time a unit comes under an area franchisee, the area franchisee gets 60% on each subsequent unit which comes under him. So which means that 60% becomes 2.4 lakhs, right? So 60% goes to the area franchisee and 40% comes to the master franchisee. And 60% becomes 2.4 lakhs. So which means that even by opening almost about 10 odd locations, you will be able to recover your entire fee that you invested as a area franchise. The other is sharing on royalty. The overall royalty in this business model is about 9%. So area developer gets 3% of royalty. In addition, to also a fee, which is a advertisement levy, which is 1% that he gets. So 3 important financial units that you must understand. One is area franchisee gets a percentage of the unit franchise fee. So 60% of the unit fee goes to the franchisee. Second is he also gets a royalty, which is 3% of the entire royalties which are charged goes to. So overall 9% is the royalty which is given by a unit franchisee. 3% is given to a area franchisee, 3% goes to the master franchisee, and 3% is given to the parent company. So this is typically how the entire royalty structure has been divided. Next slide. So I think I have covered these, forfeitments. I'll not want to repeat those. Next slide, please. Great. I've covered these benefits, friends. So what I'll do is, I'll also leave our number. We have detailed working on the financials that we've created. Anybody who wants to get into more details of understanding how it would work and the opportunity in your city and the requirements for you to qualify, I'll request all of you to reach out on our hotline number. And also, I'll leave an email ID. If anybody wants to even write to me, you can reach on CSONYA@francisc.in. It's csonia@franchiseindia.in. You can also WhatsApp on 880049. You can see the number in the chat box I've put there. So if there's anything, friends, you want to know, do let us know. We'll be happy to even share a presentation and the financials with each interested party, which we would want to do rather more on one-to-one basis than doing a collective meeting with everybody around. So thank you so much for being with us, friends. We look forward to having a word with you. Our teams at Franchise India who are leading the project across India would join me in coming on these calls. Friends, I see some hands being raised. I'll request if you can reach out to me. आप WhatsApp कर सकते हैं, आप लिख सकते हैं. If you want to even write on this Q&A box, please go ahead and write, or just WhatsApp on the number which I have put there. And we have teams across India who are working on the Direct English project, including Punjab at our headquarters in Chandigarh. Chennai, I have a direct team who's working on the project. We have Bangalore. So all the top cities, we have a Direct English team who's working on the project. So if you are from any of the cities, I will have my local teams and partners who are working on the project. They can come for a meeting or we can invite you to our office for one-to-one discussion. So thank you so much, friends, for being with us. Have a great evening ahead.